Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Sope with her fantastic film Chidera. Let's take a look at the clip.
Children Dada have deep attachments to their hair, akin to Samson in the Bible, from which they possess powerful spiritual gifts, including healing and giving prophecies. Most receive their gifts as early as 4 years old.
Those animal tracks or faces.
Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd notice with all that junk in your hair.
I'm so happy to see you, and thank you for coming all the way from Miami, and welcome to the New Filmmakers family.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
I can't believe this is your first film. I'm like, you must have made 30 by now. Like, seriously, like, this is an absolutely beautiful film, and I'm just so thankful that you brought it to us. For those that haven't seen it, Sope, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Well, Chidera is a short film. It's a fictional narrative based on true events from the Nigerian culture of which I am from. I'm Nigerian British American. And in our culture, children who are born with locked hair are called children Dada. They're called Dada hair. And they're considered, really talented spiritual beings that have special gifts. And these gifts can range from being able to foresee the future, healing gifts, all kinds of gifts. So they're very special children. And my younger sister happens to be one. And when, obviously, like I said, it's my first film, but it's almost like I've had like 10 or 15 films in my head for years of procrastination. Yeah. And she said, you know what, if you're going to do a film, I want you to write about me. It was like, yeah. My sister is pretty much all about herself in a good way. And her story is that she was born with Dada hair, and part of the custom with children who are born like that is you can't cut their hair until you go through a traditional ceremony. My parents were Christians, they cut her hair anyway, and she started to suffer from major epileptic fits over the course of about 7 months, and almost died, had many near-death experiences. And so my mother was really at the end of her, course, she didn't know what to do. She reached out to her mother, and her mother said, you're gonna have to go and get the ceremony done. And so she did that, and ever since, she's never had a problem, and she's 52 now, and she's great and healthy.
Wow, well, firstly, thank you for taking something so personal to your family and letting the world see it. I know how vulnerable that can feel, but the fact you share this really important story, for those people that didn't know about how important it was for them to know about how special this is as well to Nigerian culture. But when was that moment for you when you're like, I want to turn this into a film?
I think the moment was when, my mother passed. She passed in 2009, and when she was very ill, I was asking, we had a lot of conversations at her bedside, and I would ask her the questions like, why was this and why was that? And it was like, something about Dada children, it's a very secretive almost part of the Western African culture, because it's sometimes deemed to be like part of African spirituality with the gods and things like that. And so people who are Christians don't really like to talk about that element. And but she was very open about a lot of the things that happened during that time. And I make fun because my sister, she has these baby pictures, and she had a mohawk, and I was like, oh, that's such a cute mohawk, mommy. And she's like, yeah, that was brain shock therapy. She was having a lot of that during her fits and things like that. Yes, I wanted to write a personal story, and I just felt it would be just a great connection for me. It'll be a love letter to my mother and to my culture, and that will, hopefully I give the story in a very respectful and honorable way to my culture. So
well, you gave a great, obviously there was a lovely piece dedicated to your mom in the final credits, which was so special.
I tear up every time.
I did too, but no, I think I just want to commend your lead actor. Like, I just was mesmerized just by her energy, her experience. She was so fantastic, like so good. How was it for you bringing your cast together? Because it's so important you truly get someone to truly understand the essence of the story that you're putting out there. How was that process for you?
Well, it's so incredible because everything, like I said, is I'm a Christian and it's divine calling. So when I was doing this film, I wasn't intended to be a producer.
Yeah.
I wanted to go and film it I wanted to film it in Miami.
Yeah.
And I didn't end up filming it in Miami. I filmed it in
Yeah.
Atlanta, which is where my mom is buried.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, so that's where we're going to film. And I also got this real strong premonition that I should have an all-female cast and crew, basically.
Yeah.
And so 90% of my crew are women.
Amazing.
Women of color. It's just, such fantastically talented
Amazing.
people. And our lead actress, I saw her audition and I fell in love with her immediately.
Yeah, and you could work with her, right?
Oh
Obviously,
yes,
yeah.
oh yes. And it's so funny because, her life was kind of mirroring the character because it's in a way, it's a journey of faith.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just moved to LA. I don't know if this is where God has called me to be. I just left my mom. And I was like, that's my Chidera. That's her. And she was amazing, her audition. And we built a connection. I call her my second daughter. So there was a lot of personal, just safe space that we worked with.
Yeah.
And the other actors the same way as well. I don't know if you noticed Adugo, who's a bright-skinned actress.
Yeah.
And she was like, I never get to play African or black roles because people don't know what box to put me in. And when I called her and I said, I thought of you when I was writing this role, and she just teared up. She was like, I can't believe that you did that. I was like, oh yeah, So everybody was meant to be where they were.
Yeah, but it's great that, you created your story so that, that enabled that, and you got credit to you for creating a story which was able to hire brilliant people and actors that could really truly experience and identify with it as well. So
Thank you.
what was it like? I mean, this is your first film. This is so personal on so many levels, but what was it like directing? What's your style of directing? How do you work with your actors?
Well, because I'm an actor.
Yeah, so
thankfully, it was, everything was incredible because I was able to, and I always say the best directors for me personally are actors, directors that can really get into the space, the mind, and their process. And so from that standpoint, I was able to color the way I wanted the film done, right down to knowing what music I wanted, what color I wanted. I selected my DP very specifically because I wanted her to enrich the black tones in my film a certain way and light them a certain way. And she was amazing. And so it was very much of a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
I wrote the story, that's fine, but I always said to the crew, I said, listen, whatever speaks to you guys, do you like this? Do you want us to, if there's any kind of feedback, I'm very open to that. And so everybody felt safe to say, you know what, yeah, I love the way you did this, but perhaps we could do this, right down to hair and makeup. Everybody felt collaborative in this film. So I wanted it told from a female lens. And that's probably why I wanted a 90% production of women.
Yeah, because they could empathize and they're female, they understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had one guy who was a guy, and it was our first AD, and the first day he was like shut down by a lot of the women on the set. We were like, okay, he goes, okay, I know that this is not.
Well, he's got to learn,
Exactly.
So what I loved as well is this was taken from, we haven't seen many films based around an African family in the United States, around Black Americans, and I thought that conversation of just understanding, because hair is a very, very important thing to a lot of people, but there's still a lot to learn from each other about what the meaning is behind certain things, and I just love this element of story of between your fantastic lead and then her guy, and that conversation, is that something you wanted to bring to the surface? Because I feel like we've just not seen enough of that, and it was so great to see the understanding between each other and the learning and education as well.
I love that you said that, because then I've done my job. Because those are a lot of things that I wanted to put into the film, and you obviously don't want to have to force feed your audience. You want them to glean certain insights. The story of Chidera is a personal one for me. I grew up in England. I went to boarding school, and I was a victim of a lot of racism in an all-white boarding school. And sometimes I felt that I was out of step with the world and really did not know where I resided. And that's Chidera.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of the elements of Chidera not really knowing where she's meant to be and and it's a journey of her faith until she becomes at the very end that she's emboldened and she's like, no, and I changed those words and I said, I'm good.
Yeah.
I am good with myself, whether I get my gift or not.
Yeah.
I'm good with myself. I'm good with the world. So that was
Yeah.
really important for me to have that in there. I
Yeah.
also wanted it to be very important for anybody, not just
Yeah.
anybody in the West African culture. Anyone that goes through high school, that it just doesn't understand, you're at a point in your life where you're about to be an adult, you're a young adult, and people say you should know what you're doing in your life, going to university, etc., but you still don't know. And so I think anybody that can identify to that, anyone LGBTQIA, anyone that
Yeah.
feels that they're different and they're victimized,
Yeah.
will finally get a chance to say, you know what, I see you,
Yeah.
I see myself in this.
Yeah.
And in addition to what you said earlier about African American culture, most people who are black in this country, when, amongst ourselves, when we have like nappy hair, it's considered bad hair. And one of the things I was like sharing with this film was like, no, it actually isn't. It means you're special. It actually does.
You've done your job 10 times over. I mean, honestly, like there's so many messages in here, and I'm so happy you made that on so many different levels, as well as being an important dedication to your own family. What is gonna be next for you?
Well, I have a TV pilot that I wrote during COVID.
Amazing.
So, like I said, I'm just a new filmmaker, and while I was twiddling my thumbs and the world was happening,
Yes.
I decided to get into writing. So I wrote a TV pilot based on my life as a Nigerian British American.
Wow.
And family life. So I'm really excited about that. We're shopping that. I also have an unscripted TV series that I'm also shopping. And I have a new short film project that I'm very excited about, that's bridging the whole Afro-Cuban, Afro-Latino, and Western culture of the African culture as well. So that's another project that's coming up.
That's amazing.
And then I'm an actor as well. So I like have
Everything-
an audition that I have to do before Monday.
Of course you do.
So it's
you
like
are,
I have
go.
to-
Well, considering how busy you are and all these great projects, we're ready for them all. So please just keep feeding us more of your work.
Thank you
firstly,
so much.
I just want to finish lastly. Like, you've made your first film. It's scary, but it's done, and you did a great credit to it. But anyone out there that wants to follow in your footsteps, like, what kind of piece of advice would you give to anyone that wants to put their first movie out, or just anything, any essence that you go by as a human being, your creativity?
I think just do it, first of all. And second of all, if it's going to be your first film, do something that means something to you. So you have a reason why, a raison d'être, basically. And because the more you connect to that material, the more the people that will come to the material will come. I mean, that's exactly I wrote a one-page treatment about why I wanted to do this film, etc. And it was that one page I didn't realize that attracted my entire cast and crew.
Wow.
Just
amazing.
based off that, there were people that worked on the project that was super talented that I
Yeah.
couldn't believe I was having,
Yeah.
but they connected to the material
Yeah.
personally, and that's what happened.
Amazing.
And I'm
Wow.
excited to say that you can watch my film on American Airlines starting this month, and for the next 6 months, and it's just surreal that you get to watch it on the plane.
Don't miss it when you go on that plane on American Airlines. Okay, it's the first thing you should watch, okay? Thank you for bringing Jadera to us. Thank you for bringing you to us. We're so excited for your next projects, and thank you for being here in person with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Mucho
you.
gusto.
Oh.